making. Secondly, I'm going to increase that grad life inclusivity fund, which have been reduced in the last year. Like it was $32,000 and it has been reduced to the $25,000. So I have plans to do all of these, to tackle all of these issues. Thank you.
And we'll go back to Hazel for the next question. No, that's not one. We'll go back to Hazel for the next question. Taking into account that the vice presidents usually work between 20 to 30 hours a week and need to be able to attend preset meetings as part of their duties, how do you intend to balance the demands of this position with your other commitments?
Thank you so much. I believe that as a human, we function through priorities, and being elected into this leadership position, I am responsible for just myself, but other people's livelihoods and the way they lead their lives. So I believe that my priorities will be set straight, which one will be my office, and in other sectors of my life, because it's student life, a lot of these will be merging together. When I am working with other people, I am also existing in the very space and living my life as well. So it's a matter of priorities. What am I talking about in these spaces, and which voices am I representing in my daily life, basically.
So, as I'm the current GSA VP External, I've already managed to devote time to different things in my life and do each one as perfectly as possible in my own point of view. It's basically like juggling, you have to manage everything, and sometimes it might get out of hand, but again, you will find time to do everything in the right way, and at the end of the day, get everything done. I'm also doing TA alongside this, and honestly, you will find time to do stuff if you are passionate about it. So I don't think it's a problem.
Jeff?
My first invitation to be part of Graduate Students Association in any shape or form, I winked at it that no, I won't be able to manage it. After my experience in my first semester and the first ever job I got coming into Canada, coming late towards the start of my exam period, the light bulb struck in my head. If something is important to you, give it time. So I look at this as not just an additional task, but something that's I'm going to be passionate about. And definitely my time will be allocated as duty.
Hafiz?
So, Vice President Student Life, I have to work for 20 to 30 hours, and I'm fully prepared to balance this work with my studies. I am taking those courses which I have already taken in my undergrad, so I have already prerequisite of these courses. Secondly, I'm going to set my schedule, and I'm going to manage by using my management skills, time management skills. And thirdly, I'm going to meet with the GSA team so that students can feel that they are being heard and they are being supported. Lastly, I am fully committed to this post, and it's my priority that students feel that they are being heard. Thank you so much.
Right. I have a question sent to me so this question is, what will you do for outreach for students, including those from underrepresented and underfunded departments who may suffer from fewer opportunities and thus higher demands of their time and work-life balance? We can start with Hazel.
Thank you so much. One thing that I've come to realize even within the graduate community is we do have different groups. You may be an individual who's marginalized, or you feel marginalized by these individuals existing groups. One of the things that I really want to emphasize on is collaboration with the different groups that are within the university. One of the groups that I've seen that have worked really closely with the GSA is the Black Student Graduate Association, and I know there are many more groups within the university, some of which I'm part of. So I believe that collaboration with these groups will help bring the services, and I know one of them is the funding aspect, so streamlining this particular service so that it's easier for these groups to manage and apply for the funds and be in a collaborative relationship with.
Well, I have a weakness, and that's when I hear people are in need of my help, I will do everything in my power to help them. I will not rest until I am sure at least something is done about the problem. So as long as they reach to me and they feel confident about talking to me, I will definitely make sure that their problem is resolved. In order to do that, I will push GSA forward in order to make platforms available for them in order to speak and reach out to me to make things happen. Thank you.
Jeff.
To answer that question, it's something that came to my mind a week ago when I was thinking about this petition, and it's something I like to call granular outreach. And what I mean by that is not waiting for the questions to come to our table, but going out to reaching out to them, as the word implies, in a granular way, in a way that is more tailored to people's needs. So the question set talks about the different groups. I'll be reaching out to those different groups, not waiting for the questions to come.
So as far as this question is concerned, so my answer is that I know like many mature students are suffering from isolations. As I have told you before, that international students are suffering from adjusting, and indigenous students are like they want to have meetings and they want to meet other people as well. So for that purpose, my agenda is to expand Grad Life Ambassador program, so that like in every department we can select the students and they can talk on behalf of them as well. So thank you.
Just want to see if you have any additional questions from the public. Yes?
Hi, I have a question for Parmin. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. So previously you mentioned you were a VP external, right? So how much you achieved, because I was last time there and you gave a lot of agendas and a lot of stuff. So how much you succeeded, and based on you change your role, do you think you were best fit for that role and you're coming now in this role? So how you can justify that coming from VP external to VP student life fits for you?
Thank you for that question. So as far as for achievements, I've managed to achieve a couple of things. That one thing is we talked to the Minister of Advanced Education for targeted funding towards the students, and they agreed, and we're seeing the effects soon. The thing about VP external position is that you don't see the immediate effects. It takes time for the effects to reflect. So regarding your second part of the question, I would say that when you get into GSA, you get to find the best position for yourself, and you realize what problems students are facing and how better you can help them with your current skills. So that's why I'm shifting to student life, to help students better.
If we don't have any further questions. Okay, then thank you to you guys for Student Life. Yes, Vice President Student Life, Candace, thank you so much. Candidates for Vice President External, you may come to the front and grab a seat. GSA does. That's great. All right. So just to summarize the procedure again. Sorry, I should have a bit of noise from the public. Please simmer down a bit. Okay. So yes, I will pose a question. I'll move from left to right. If you can just pass the little microphone. Yeah, you have it right there. So as we go, we'll just pass on to the next person. 45 seconds to answer a question. Sophie will let you know when there's 10 seconds left, and then when time is up, I will let you know if time is up. All right. So for the first question, please introduce yourself and tell us what motivated you to run for this position.
Hello everyone, my name is Umar Sharif. I'm a PhD student in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and I'm currently working on developing an AI and machine learning model for hydroponic systems. And I have developed an AI model for crop species detection. What motivated me for this role is I want to be the voice of the student beyond campus. So I want to feel, what I felt, and I want to be their advocate when, they want representation. Yeah, that's it.
Right, you go to the next candidate.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the primary father, third year PhD student in chemistry school, and currently I'm president of the Chemistry Graduate Student Society. And this position helped me to be involved with all of the graduate students and know what is the challenges during the graduate student program. And now actually I've been the graduate student voice at departmental and even faculty level, and I ensured them that their voice were heard. And I believe that GSA is the strongest voice, is the strongest platform to advocate for graduate students, and I want to run for being external to advocate for graduate students.
You go to the next candidate.
Hello everyone, my name is Ajibola Adigun, popularly called Jeeves. I'm a doctoral student in educational policy studies, a professional governance specialist. Currently I serve as the Councillor for Educational Policy, and I'm a member of the governance committee of the Credit Council. I'm running for this position because I believe that it's very, very important to have a professional to advocate to the external publics. Currently, I work as a governance specialist and project lead of the AI Global South Summit, where I've been able to advocate to different global leaders on artificial intelligence around us.
Thank you. Right. We will. Next question is, given that the Vice President External is responsible for external advocacy and community relations, what do you view as number one priority should you be elected? We'll start with Umar.
Yeah, so my answer will be 2-3 points. So first of all, I want to be an advocate for reduction in instructional and non-instructional fee beyond campus. Second thing which I am looking at most nowadays is that students are suffering from processing time for their study permits, their work permits, and their spouse's permit. So I'll be advocating for those to expedite that process. I also want to include that there should be some kind of paid internship and co-op opportunities for MSc as well as Master of Engineering students. So my plan is to work around these points.
Nilofer?
As VP External, my first priority is advocating for fair funding and financial stability for graduate students. For example, advocating for increased provincial support to alleviate the financial burden on the students, like negotiate for substantial funding to cover services currently financed by MNIF, for example. And the other thing is negotiating in federal level for increasing the grant source for specifically downstream students. And even the other priority that I have is advocating for fair immigration policies at U of A and in the level of provincial and federal.
My primary motive for running for this post is especially because of the stories that I've heard from people who are about to take their graduate classes virtually because their spouses were refused visas and they couldn't resume their graduate school. I think my primary, another motivation for me basically is about connection. I strongly believe that connection to resources is paramount to be able to get the necessary resources attended to. Advocacy basically relies on timing and getting the right resources to the right people. So I think that's why I'm running.
Just make sure that you're passing the mic around like a hot potato. Alright, the next question is, the graduate student population is a very diverse group, including students with children, there's mature students, international students, as well as students from a broad range of disciplines. Explain how you'd represent all voices of this diverse population.
Yeah, so my answer is simple. Respect everyone. Listen to whatever they want to say and do whatever is in your capacity.
For this question, I believe that we need to open the contribution for opportunity for everyone and listen to them. And as VP External, I should be aware of all of the policies that is going on the campus and for all of the domestic, international students, indigenous, and everyone with every situation. So listen to them and try to be their voice.
As a graduate student in educational policy, it's my primary aim of coming to school or to the graduate school is to be able to understand these policies and how they affect different set of people. And because of the varied number of people, more than 8,000 graduate students at the university, I believe that I'm able to do that because that's precisely what I came to the University of Alberta to study as a graduate student in educational policy.
Right, for the next question. Taking into account that the vice presidents usually work between 20 to 30 hours a week and will need to be able to attend preset meetings as part of their duties, how do you intend to balance the demands of this position?
Yeah, what can I say more? I'm a PhD student and I'm managing everything well. Father of 3 kids. Yeah. In my first 2 years, I have done very well in terms of my PhD. And yeah, once you commit to something, you got to go for it. So things will be easier for you from there. And yeah, I'm very much up to this commitment, no problem.
No problem.
I'm currently president of CGSS and could manage everything with each other, my PhD program and even being the president. So I believe that if I commit to a position, definitely I can manage everything, even if it's 30 to 40 hours.
Yes.
As a professional governance specialist who has carried on work and studies and also winning multiple awards while I was doing it and organizing the first inaugural AI Global South Summit in less than 4 months, I believe that I do have enough experiences in being able to manage my academics and global advocacy because that's primarily what I do for my job.
Right. So I do have a couple questions that were submitted to me. So the first question I'll ask you is, how do you intend to approach better government funding for domestic and international students alike, especially with unfortunately increasing political contention towards international students and immigrants in Canada? We'll start with
Can
you.
you repeat this question because screen was changing and I cannot concentrate.
The question won't be on the screen, it's just submitted to me. But the question is, how do you intend to approach better government funding for domestic and international students alike with increasing political contention towards international students and immigrants?
Yeah, so in Canada, so they need to have, workers which are coming from every part of the world to make this community better. So you give them number, So in terms of if they know what a PhD student is getting in terms of per hour, like I can tell you right now, it's like $5 to $6 or $4 to $5 per hour. So if you give them this number, maybe make them some kind of emotional, and yeah, give them some fact and figure, and they will come around. They will understand because they know life is not that easy for the students.
For actually, as all of you know, because of this rising inflation, and this financial situation of UFA probably eliminating the tuition is not going to be the easy way. So we should search and explore for a better alternative. One of these alternatives could be, for example, working on MNIF and we can negotiate with province to have more support to cover more these services, and definitely it can help us. And even federally and provincially, we can negotiate more to have more sources as grant and scholarship for all of the students on the campus.
As the Immigration Minister, Mark Miller, said today, balance is very important when we talk about graduate student funding, because we have to balance international students who are a source of revenue for the university and local students who have very powerful voices, in the sense that there's a cap on how much the university can raise. So I do also believe that it's important for us to basically seek for advocacy to the provincial government. But more importantly, I think it's important to connect people to resources. For example, with the Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues, to help with access to housing and other funding resources.
I give a question submitted directly for Umar. So in your agenda, you state that you have concrete plans for reducing instructional and non-instructional fees for graduate students. What background information have you looked at, especially regarding MNIFs, and have you attended any town halls recently to gather information or share your concerns? And how do you think this relates to the VP external portfolio?
So the thing is, I'm not, I'm an advocate for being VP external for the students. So these all programs, for graduate student, they don't pay enough. They don't pay enough. Whatever program, whether they are getting student funding, whether they are getting from anything else, so they don't pay enough. We need to give them some numbers which are reasonable in these situations. Like inflation is rising. One of the main factor is inflation. The only thing, the good thing about Edmonton is it's not that expensive city. That's why we are surviving. But if it was another city, things would have been very much harder on students. Yeah.
Thank you. And then an additional question I have for everyone. If you could instantly achieve only one specific thing in your term, what would it be, and how far towards this goal do you realistically expect to reach?
Yeah, my main agenda is, reduction in fee for both in instructional and non-instructional fee. So this can be achieved three ways. First, we need to talk to university administration, take into look provincial government, and take into look federal government as well. So all the stakeholders are on table. We need to work, I want to work more on this thing. This is my top agenda, reduction in fee, instructional and non-instructional both.
As VP External, I think that I have to follow the current VP External and the current team and what already they are negotiating for. So one of the things that grabbed my attention was about the MNIF, and it seems that the current team is working on it. And definitely this is the good thing that we can work as the VP External. And the other thing is advocating for increasing the provincial and federal grant and a scholarship for domestic students. This is the other thing that the current team is doing that, and I'm sure and I believe that VP External is not the position that you should want to bring in new things and see the results, and it's better that we continue the work.
If I could achieve one single thing, I think it would be connection to resources. I brought this as an information binder of different resources on campus. And one of the reasons I brought it was because I realized that even though there are those resources, graduate students are not able to access them. And I do believe that through connecting graduate students with resources, that's one pivotal thing I would have been able to achieve. Just to give an example, as a first-year graduate student last year, I was able to access travel grants to attend a conference, which ordinarily would not have been possible in the past.
Right, thank you. I have another question submitted to me. Federal government has already been cutting funding for a number of years. How would you work with them, and what would you do differently that others have not done?
Yeah, so if federal government is cutting funding, so what we can do is we can align other stakeholders, on their behalf. There are companies, there is provincial government, professors, university. So we can, we need to align those things up so that everything is, kind of working for the betterment of student community.
So about the cutting the funding, I believe that advocating for finding more sources for the campus and grad students is the best thing that I have in my mind at the moment, and definitely it's one of the important things that we should work as a VP external.
It took a long time of advocacy to be able to get the 25,000 minimum funding from the federal government. And I think for now, the federal government would like to take some breather on that. I think it's important to also extend the level of advocacy to the provincial government. In advocacy, timing is everything. And when we want to advocate, we must realize that different stakeholders have different priorities. For now, I believe that the federal government has, in a sense, extended their level of fellowship by doing the 25,000 minimum funding. I think now it's time to look for other resources like the provincial government and other sources of funding. Thank you.
All right, and in the interest of time, I'll just ask one final question. This was a follow-up question for Umar. How, as VP External, how would you ensure that, as VP External, under the GSA governance structure, how would you ensure a reduction in the instructional and non-instructional fees? And have you read through the Alberta tuition fee guidelines that gives the Board of Governors to increase fees as they like?
So something had been done already. We go through those papers, find out something which we can, incorporate for the. And I will tell you one thing. We can do one thing. If somehow we get that, okay, MSc and research-based students like PhD or MSc, they get charged for domestic fee. This will help them a lot. Decrease their number by 5,000-6,000. This will help them a lot. So maybe we go through documents, find out something. There are always something we can find out. I'm sure somebody had worked on that. And second thing is, if somehow we get university, provincial government to agree on this thing, okay, maybe we can charge students with domestic fee. That's going to help them a lot.
Right. I would like to thank the VP External candidates for their time. In the interest of time, we'll move on to the next position. So you guys may. And now I'd like to call up the candidates for the Associate Vice President Labor position.
If you want us to review, you can send it to GSA.
All right. Thank you. I'll just remind you. I've said this like 10 times now, but I'll remind you of the procedure once again. I will ask a question, and you'll have 45 seconds to respond. I'll move from left to right, and just make sure you're passing the mic, just to make sure that we can capture the audio. Yes. Okay. So first, please introduce yourself and tell us what motivated you to run for this position, please.
Hello, I'm Nathan. So I spent over 4 years leading up to the start of my program involved in the labour movement through CUPW, which is the Union for Canada Post. I was a regional representative and a chief shop steward. I was involved in everything you can think of: consultations, investigations, health and safety, public speaking, elections, debates. I wrote policies and bylaws, ground level organization representation, you name it. I'm also the English and Film Studies Department Counselor, so I've noticed a lot of things in the GSA that I think could be improved, and I know I can push the GSA to do a lot better from the role of an officer. Labor activism isn't really a mission I see myself giving up anytime soon. We need to grow, we need to put ourselves into a position of strength, and I know we can get there.
Thank you. Next candidate, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed Sabik. I'm a PhD student at the University of Alberta, Civil Engineering Department, and I've been doing advocating for students, international students, for a pretty long time. I started doing so since my master's program in University of Arizona. We started the first international student club there under the name Egyptian Sun Devils. And when I moved to Canada to do my PhD, I started advocating, being a councillor, elected as a councillor at large last year, then participating in the LRC committee. Then right now I'm the chief steward, faculty chief steward all over the university. I would like to continue working on this position to fulfill all the requirements that we work on.
Hands up, yes.
Thank you.
I'd just like to please also remind audience members, please try not to walk in front of the camera view, and if you have to go around, please go around. Okay, for the next question. Given that the GSA Associate Vice President Labour position is responsible for labour-related matters concerning academically employed graduate students, including during collective bargaining negotiating years, I did not read that right. Including collective bargaining during negotiating years. That's the question. What do you view as the number one priority should you be elected?
So how the GSA operates right now is unfortunately quite minimalistic. It's not a very strong as a union, and we really need to build that up. So the number one thing is outreach and bringing that lead, that collective, that union back in. So the number one thing I hear from graduate students is that the GSA isn't really a big factor in their lives. They don't really see its influence. And part of that outreach also means things like greater access for employment for students. So how do we hear about these positions, right? Also the collective agreement, ours is 32 pages long. CUPW, 600. That's not bad, but it does mean it's incomplete. So there's a lot of work to do to get that going and get that a lot more functional and extensive.
I think my first priority and the most important thing that I'm going to focus on is continuing the existing endeavors right now that we have working on for the last couple of years. Me and my other colleagues, including existing VP of Labour, I think these initiatives need to continue because there is still a lot of things need to be done. A lot of initiatives need to be done. We need to protect the rights of the students. We need to increase the payment in a decent manner because the current situation is unlogical to have a PhD or a master's student only living on $600 after deducting all the tuition that he is paying in a monthly manner.
Right. The next question. The graduate student population is a very diverse group, including students with children, mature students, and international students, as well as students from a broad range of disciplines. Explain how you represent all voices of this diverse population, please.
So diversity and union activism really go hand in hand. You can't have a labor rights movement without diversity. I'm myself Indigenous, I am queer, I have disorders, I have friends who have children, I have colleagues who are mature students, international students. Working hours and pay are both really critical issues for everyone, but they affect everyone differently. For example, some departments, their minimum funding is tied directly to their ability to get a GTA or GRA. It's not just given, it's you have to actually work, which disproportionately increases the work that those students have to put in just to maintain the ability to afford rent and food, and that's really unfortunate. So, this is a very big concern of mine.
Mohammed?
So for me, I only can imagine that I'm an international student. I've been living in 7 countries: Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, UK, United States here. So I've been engaged with a lot of people from very diverse backgrounds. And I think the most important thing is to be able to represent people is to understand where they're coming from, what's the existing problems that they have. So in order to present, like the majority of the graduate students that we have here in the population are international students. So having that kind of background, being an international student, is is no-brainer to understand what's the issues that they suffer from in a daily basis.
Thank you. Taking into account that vice presidents typically work between 20 to 30 hours a week and need to be able to attend preset meetings as part of their duties, how do you intend to balance the demands of this position with your other commitments?
I love this question. As someone deeply involved in the labor movement, I'm very, very aware of the dilemma of work-life balance, and that includes work and research balance. This is a very central issue to the position. My thesis is something I'm very excited for and I'm very passionate about, but I also know that if I devote all of my time to my thesis, nobody can do that. Nobody can devote all of their soul to one thing. So contrary to having this be a major issue with work-life balance, I think this will actually help me substantially. I also have spoken to my supervisor. I have carefully considered the time commitments, and I know I have the time and management skills to achieve this.
Thank you. Mohammed?
Me, myself, I'm doing a lot of things in the same time. This year I published 7 conference papers, 2 journal papers. I'm working as the chief steward, and I'm being engaged in a couple of other activities all over the university. So getting into VP of Labor is not going to be an issue because I will concentrate majority of my activities within the Labor Committee and as a chief steward into one position. So I can advocate majority of my time that is already being allocated for these activities into one position and concentrate on it.
All right, thank you. I can now open the floor to any questions from the public. If candidates have questions, please email them to me directly, gsa.speaker@alberta.ca. In the meantime, I accidentally closed the document, so not nice. Okay. I'll ask a quick backup question while we wait for any questions to come in. So this question will just be, how would serving the GSA as a directly elected officer contribute to your future goals?
So my thesis is on artificial intelligence, anthropomorphization, how it's going to impact our social relationships. And where I intend to go with that is, there's a few possible avenues, but government and policy writing is a very big one, and AI is one of the biggest things impacting jobs today. So labor activism is 100% right up my alley. It's exactly what I want to be working with in the future, making sure that we have fair and equal access even when the resources aren't necessarily that accessible.
For me, myself, I love working with everyone, especially for student advocacy, because there is a lot of opportunities out there. Currently, I'm working on building AI models to detect and track construction equipments, and I'm trying to commercialize that into a startup, and I couldn't do so without the support that I'm getting right now from some organizations inside the university, like the ICE Incubator at the engineering school. And getting in touch with these people, these opportunities couldn't be happen if I'm not advocating and participating in these student activities. So for me, it's no brainer.
Thank you. All right, so I have a question that was submitted to me. So the question is, in your opinion, what has been the most challenging part of labor advocacy at the University of Alberta?
Outreach. Absolutely outreach. We have a really hard, like only 10% of our student base votes in these elections. We have a lot of people who don't really view the GSA as something that's a very big part of their lives. The GSA is not super present in how they run their lives. It's really unfortunate, and I think outreach is absolutely number one, the thing that we need to focus on. Absolutely number one, the thing that we struggle with currently. There's no denying it whatsoever. It's outreach.
I think that the most important challenge is having that balance in the conversation that we have with the university. So for us as a students, we would like to have more pay, increased good hours of work, some kind of protection against retaliation from academic members if something happened. But having that into more realistic manner is a great challenge, because right now, because of the situation, political situations, economical situations, having that kind of balance is very critical. And I think this is one of the most important things that we need to focus on. And also I can agree with Nathan that outreach is a big issue as well.
Right, thank you. Right, if there are no further questions from the public, I'd like to say thank you. I think you may return. And
thank you very much.
Yeah. If there are any councillors at large present, it doesn't seem like it. Is there? Okay. All right. So we are quite literally on schedule, so that's great. So I'd like to thank all candidates for participating.
Do you want to talk about referendum?
So I'd like to thank all candidates for coming out today and answering the questions. Just a reminder to everyone that voting for the general elections will open on February 18th at 10 a.m. And closes on February 20th at 10 a.m. We can now move on to the UPass referendum piece. Cindy, the Associate Director of the GSA, will be joining us online to talk about this and address any questions that folks might have about the UPass referendum. I guess if Cindy's ready, whenever Cindy's ready, she can get started.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Zane. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I can't be there in person today, but I do appreciate the opportunity to present today. I am actually running the Yes campaign for the UPass referendum this year. The UPass is a service of the Graduate Students Association that provides discounts with unlimited public transit offered by Edmonton, Strathcona County, St. Albert, Fort Saskatchewan, Leduc, Spruce Grove, Beaumont, and the airport. Just to give you a brief history, the UPass pilot program began back in 2006, and subsequent agreements have been signed ever since then. The program directly benefits students by providing reasonably cost transit options within the city and to the municipalities around Edmonton. Current negotiations for the new contract with ETS occurred in 2024. The student representatives from all Edmonton post-secondary institutions did an exemplary job in negotiating with the Edmonton Transit Services. There were several proposals tabled with good discussion, which helped to create an understanding of each party's position. The students argued for fair pricing, while also understanding the economic implications and realities for Edmonton Transit Service. The student representatives presented concerns about transit safety, and while those concerns could not be addressed through the negotiation process, there will be ongoing advocacy on this front to help ensure that students feel safe using transit. Some examples for the advocacy efforts going forward will be the U of A's UPass committee itself, where issues can be discussed, also the Edmonton Student Leaders Alliance, and then directly with ETS. With all of that said, an agreement in principle was reached that would see the cost of the UPass set on a 3-year contract based on the rates following. The rate for 2025-26 remains at $180 per term. For 2026-27, it would increase by $2.50. And then in 2027-28, it would increase by another $2.50. $1.50. So it would be $185 by the end of the 3-year contract. Next week, a referendum question will be placed on the ballot for the renewal of the UPass based on this agreement in principle. And so we're encouraging students to vote yes for the UPass referendum so that we can continue to offer this service to our members. And I'm happy to take any questions if people have.
So yes, if anyone has any questions about the UPass referenda, you can just raise your hand and then I'll call upon you. I have a question over here.
Yeah, more sort of like a comment. Cindy, can you clarify what would be the fee for first year, second year, and third year?
The fees are outlined on the slide there.
Okay.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Like for next year, it's going to be the same fee, $180 per term. Then it'll go up $2.50 for each subsequent year.
Right. There's a question.
Okay. My question is clarification. So this is a referendum this is voting to increase on whether or not UPass will exist, or is it increase the fees?
Oh, okay, that's a great question. So yeah, basically the agreement in principle, it involved all of the schools, student associations in Edmonton. If the students at the U of A, the graduate students and or the undergraduate students, vote not to approve the agreement, then we would not be participants in this program.
It would not be participants in UPass.
Yes, exactly.
So okay, because I'm asking because I benefit from UPass.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, UPass, even if the fee didn't increase, the contract was due for negotiation. So it's incumbent upon us to ensure that students have the opportunity to vote, right? So that's what this is basically.
Okay.
If there are any other questions?
Hi, Cindy. Would you be able to explain that if the referendum results are no, what are the repercussions or what are the results that that graduate students will be facing if it's a no or like if it doesn't get passed? Thank you.
Sure, thank you. So if students vote no as a majority, then the Graduate Students Association would no longer be part of the UPass program until and unless the next round of negotiations begin. So that means, basically that means that that students would pay their own, like they would purchase their own transit, right?
Students would deal with that as a separate issue, separate from all the other. It would not. The university would not involve itself in the UPass. Is what you're saying.
Yeah. Right now, the university has agreed to collect the student fee for the UPass, and then that money is remitted to ETS. So if the graduate students decided that they did not want to continue participating in the program, then students would have to make their own arrangements for that kind of thing. And then it would also decrease the pool of students who are participating in the program, so costs might increase for the students who remain in the program.
There's a question over there.
Yeah, hi. So this is slightly a context question, because I know many students wonder about this, and I took my undergraduate degree here, so I was wondering about this as well. Essentially is who is included and who has the option to opt out of the UPass agreement. So, for instance, when I was in my undergraduate, I grew up about 50 minutes north of here. And if I had chosen to live with my parents when I was going to my undergraduate program, I would have had to drive 50 minutes to school, and a U-Pass would have been totally useless to me. So my question is essentially, who has the opportunity to opt out, and are there any negotiations happening in regards to this, or is everyone included by default? And also online students, for instance.
I'm not 100% sure about online students. I'd have to get back to you on that. Who's speaking? Sorry?
Sorry, I'm Nathan, one of the AVP Labour candidates.
Okay, I could definitely send you some information afterwards as well, but there are exemptions for, just give me 1 second here. When you read the actual question on the ballot, it does outline certain exemptions. And there was discussion about the area of coverage. I don't know how far that discussion went, but it wasn't changed for this contract term. So students who are off campus, generally speaking, can opt out. And online students as well. Okay. But Nathan, I can get back to you on that.
Thank you. I would appreciate it. I know the opt-out radius was quite large when I was in my undergraduate. This is quite a long time ago. So yeah, I was just wondering what was happening in these negotiations. But yes, any information you can provide would be lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe it's 100 kilometers still, but I'll let you know that for sure too.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, Cindy, can you clarify whether international students, if they don't sign up for this U-Pass, can get the, I believe there is this low-income stream pass that's available by the city. Can they get that? Can you clarify on that?
Well, the U-Pass is a mandatory fee, so unless you're eligible to opt out, you can't.
My question was that are international students eligible to get the low-income pass? My understanding is that that's the facility only available for PR and domestic students.
I'm afraid I don't have that information. I'm not sure what ETS offers in that regard. I can do it, but
I can recall on this one, international students are eligible for low-income passes, but they need to file their taxes for the first year. Then there is an application need to be submitted to the city, but they are eligible.
Are there any additional questions from the public regarding U-Pass referendum?
Sorry if I missed it, but when is the referendum?
It'll be at the same time as the general election, so February 18th the voting opens, and then February 20th the voting closes. So while you vote for the candidates, you'll also be voting on the referendum.
Sorry. Yes. I just wanted to ask, do you guys know how much the one that the city offers, how much should the students pay for it? Do you have any information on that?
I do not recall, to be honest, the exact number, but I think it's around $40 to $45. But I'm not sure.
Well, under a specific category, which is like low income, you pay $30. And if you want to have a city pass, you need to surrender your art card or U-Pass.
I'll say that we'll just have to keep questions relevant to the referenda. If you guys want to chat about the low-income pass, yeah, okay. But if there are any additional
I have one thing it is about the referendum. And it's directed toward, I think, Cindy. So the information that you just provided to us, I'm wondering if it will also be passed on to the general public beyond this room. So they also have an understanding of what all this is about.
Yes.
Yes, we're actually just clarifying with the CRO and the Election and Referendum Committee as to what advertising we can do. So we'll get that out as soon as possible.
Right, because the same way you were able to engage with the youth, I wonder if that opportunity will be available to the public, because they might also have questions as well, and I'm curious.
Yeah, well, we're hoping to be able to advertise on social media, and if we are able to do that, students can certainly send me an email to ask questions. So.
Any further questions regarding referenda? Going once, going twice, going thrice. Yeah, okay. All right, I guess that means that we can conclude the forum here then, if there are no further questions. Thank you once again to the candidates for attending. And again, just a reminder, voting for the general elections, the election of the Vice President, Associate Vice President Labour, and the vote on the UPass referenda will open on February 18th at 10 a.m. and 48 hours later on February 20th, 10 a.m. The vote will close, and yes, the vote will close. So make sure you get your vote in, make sure you campaign for those votes, and best of luck to everybody. Thank you.